In today's video, I want to talk about building career resilience. Now, career resilience, it's the skill that provides you the strength to adapt to the challenges that we often have to face in our careers. And we know that some people seem to have more resilience than others, but I'm here to tell you that resilience is a skill. It's something that can be learned, and it's not something that's innate or that you're born with. So I want to give you the 4 tips on really what will help you build this career resilience. And these tips are pretty much universal regardless of who it is that you're talking to. So, and I recognize something that they may sound simple in nature, but just because something is simple doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. I mean, losing weight, we all want to lose weight, or many of us want to lose weight. And it's simple. You just simply move more and eat less. But that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, right? And so the same thing with these 4 tips. But you need to really employ these 4 tips to build that career resilience, to build that skill that's going to give you the strength to adapt to these career challenges, that is. Tip number one is you need to be a lifelong learner. Now, this is a lot easier today than it was a couple of decades ago because of all of the resources that are online. I mean, you have LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, Udemy, Skillshare, all of these things that we didn't have, a couple of decades ago. Look at, for example, LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is a feature that comes along with simply going one level up on your LinkedIn from the basic free level to the LinkedIn Premium Career, which I often advise my clients to take on if they're in career transition or looking for a new job. In fact, I'll go ahead and put a link to the benefits of LinkedIn Premium Career in the upper right-hand corner. But it's a lot easier now to be able to be a lifelong learner, and it's so important. I've talked to clients in the past who, for example, somebody that has spent the last 10 years using C+ as a programming language, and now all of a sudden they're out of work and they're finding that they really need to know Python, but they never spent any time learning that language. People in warehouse workers, forklift drivers, they may, when they took their position, maybe they didn't need to really have that much of a knowledge of Microsoft Office. Now they may need Excel or knowledge of Outlook, Word, before they can move on to that next position. You need to be a lifelong learner, so keep this in mind. It's really super important. It's probably the number 1 tip that I could relay to you to building that career resilience. Number 2 is having a robust network, just as important as number 1. And again, it's something that a couple of decades ago we were not able to do this. Now we can easily with LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great resource. It's a professional networking environment, but you need to leverage social media. Just simply telling your family and friends in person may not be enough. You need to leverage that network out there. And going back to LinkedIn, and this is because it's a professional network, there's been a lot of studies that have shown that it's not your first connections, it's your second connections that are most helpful in landing that next job. But it's all about networking, right? It's all about networking. They say that 85% of the jobs out there are found through networking and referrals, not by mindlessly sending out resumes by the hundreds. So start cultivating your network and start with your online network. Start with social media. Number 3, you need to learn to manage your career. Don't let your career manage you. You need to manage your career. What are your goals for the next 5 years? Do you have anything set? What is your career path looking like? If I was to ask you where you want to be in 5 years, can you tell me that? And can you tell me the steps that you're going to need to get there? If you're letting your career manage you, then you're going to be caught up. Well, not necessarily, but there's a good chance you could be caught up unexpectedly in a reduction in workforce because you never saw it coming. So make sure that you are managing your career and not letting it manage you. And then finally, look towards the future. This is really important as well. The most resilient professionals out there are not ones that are mirrored in the past. They are always looking at the future. What is it that the future is going to hold for them? there's a interesting there's been a lot of interesting studies out there, as a matter of fact. I started seeing these right around 2019, 2020, and I thought they were mind-boggling. And they were saying at the time, 85% of the jobs in 2030 have not even been invented yet. And this was, like I say, 2020. But still, there's a lot of jobs out there that are just, you didn't even hear of. I mean, for example, last year, did you know what a prompt engineer was? Well, prompt engineer, if you're familiar with ChatGPT and you know how to use it, you are actually someone that is writing a prompt. But how do you know what to write? Well, now we have prompt engineers out there. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who was a content writer for one of the Fortune 500 companies and recently transitioned over to another Fortune 500 company as a prompt engineer. There's AI ethnicities out there, you know, the ethics of AI. Again, something you wouldn't even have thought of a year ago, and now it's a position that's actually out there that people are being hired for. There's a lot more. You just need to be on top of things. In fact, there was an interesting statement that this was a couple of years ago, I think it was in 2022, on the University of Santa Clara's Career Center website that said 85, and this was for the new students out there, 85% of the jobs of 2030 had yet been invented. So, as a recap, 4 tips that you need to start building at Career Resilience. Number 1, being a lifelong learner. Number 2, having a robust network. Number 3, managing your career, not letting your career manage you. And number 4, keeping an eye on the future. Do this, you're going to be able to manage those challenges and changes in your career a lot more effectively. So I hope you found this video informative and useful. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell notification, as I do upload new career tips and strategies every Tuesday, and I'd hate for you to miss anything. Thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.